What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Koopa G, bringing you guys another episode, man. Koopa Key Podcast, episode 2. I got some out-of-state homies, man. I had to bring onto the show, man. Give them some love and give them some spotlight. My man BG and my man Guythestampede. What's going on with you guys, man?
Hey,
happy to be on, man. Appreciate you having us.
Man, yeah, no problem. I know we were talking about this since like Tokyo, okay, man, and we definitely had to get this going. So I'm glad we were just able to sit down and I can finally talk to you guys and help you guys, get your guys what you're going out there and doing and promoting for Texas, man, and just give you guys a platform to talk about what you're doing, man. How's the weather out there today? Is it raining out there? It's raining out here. How's the weather out there?
Yeah, it's raining out here. Finally, it's been pretty hot for the whole summer as normal, but yeah, we're finally getting some rain.
Yeah, it's not too bad where I'm at. I think it's just kind of getting that sprinkle action's about to come in.
Yeah. I know. Like I've been looking on the news, and I know you guys been having some flooding going on down there and whatnot. These past few weeks. So I just making sure you guys are okay and safe. And not getting flooded out. I mean, it's just crazy, man. This the weather, man. The weather's definitely crazy to say the least. But yeah. But man, I just wanted to bring this podcast here, and I just kind of want you guys to I guess my first question will just be, kind of give these guys an introduction of who you guys are and your role, because you guys are the Texas FGC, if anyone didn't know. So just kind of explain to them, your role in the FGC and then where you guys are located, and just, I'll leave the floor to you.
Okay. Yeah, BG, the owner of Combat Championship Series out of the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Been doing tournaments since 2019, fighting game tournaments, and really just a part of the, like you said, Texas FGC, the Dallas-Fort Worth FGC, and been doing monthlies, like I said, starting in 2019 all the way up until the pandemic, and also started doing online tournaments during the pandemic. Some of the games that we have done are Street Fighter V, Tekken 7, Mortal Kombat 11, Killer Instinct, also done Samurai Showdown. Current titles we're doing, Guilty Gear Strive, KOF 15, Guilty Gear Strive, like I said, and some other different games that we're looking forward to. And also, big news is that along with Guythestampede, co-owner of the Combat Arcade, which will be coming fall of this year. And we're looking to really bring the Dallas-Fort Worth community together and the fighting game community together. Just really excited about it, and just looking forward to really, bringing the whole Texas community together.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm Guythestampede. I've been in the DFW FGC since about 2000, I would say 2009. Or 2010, something around there. Basically, I started a group called Azure, and that was based off of the first Blaz Blue. And I had a buddy from Maryland that came through to the area and really brought that energy of the FGC to my life, basically. And we started running tournaments together for basically the Watauga, Keller area. It's basically just north of Fort Worth specifically. We were doing Street Fighter 4 tournaments and Blaz Blue tournaments for a little bit, and I wanted to get involved a little bit closer with the guys who were running Uppercut Circuit, and they were doing some stuff in 2011 as the road to Evo with Capcom and all those guys. So I was going to try to get involved with them, but things didn't quite work out there, and I've been on a little bit of a hiatus with the FGC stuff. But recently with LAN All Night, it's a charity organization that operates out of this area. From the people that brought QuakeCon, some of the staffers there, they've made their own little QuakeCon.
Okay.
And we brought FGC stuff into that in 2020 or in 2021. And so I was involved with them in 2020, right when the pandemic was started. We did our first event right before lockdown.
Yeah.
And so I brought BG to do some FGC stuff with us in there, and that's kind of how I've gotten back into the FGC thing. And I've also become an admin of the DFW FGC Facebook group, and I'm just really trying to get the ball rolling again with BG to try and get the DFW FGC activated. And so with me being an admin on the Facebook group and being the owner of the Discord server now, that's just kind of my role right now in the DFW FGC.
Okay. Yeah, so you guys sound like you were kind of like us out here, just definitely the momentum came and then COVID just kind of just bodied everybody at the same time. And I really feel like it just kind of set the FGC back in general. I think we're just now in that kind of recovery phase. And that's what I call the rebuild phase. That's definitely what it feels like it sounds like a lot of communities, but definitely out here in Oklahoma, that it sounds just exactly the same, man. Just kind of, moving on from that and just talking about that and, your introductions and everything. Talk to me more about like the Combat Championship Series, like what inspired that, and how's that just been doing? And, what is your goals for, the terms of the future, in pursuing this,
Yeah, definitely. Before I started Combat Championship Series, I was part of another group that was out of the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and this started in 2017. And that is probably one of my first ventures into the FGC. I actually did events out of the Microsoft store out of the Dallas Mall. And when I did those, I was able to connect with a lot of the different Dallas fighting game players and make some connections with that, and really, find out how big the community is and a lot of passion that it had. And when I did that, I found out that there was going to be a lot more opportunity. So what I did when I was with a company called Video Gaming Standard, I was able to host an event along with Microsoft and also T-Mobile out of a convention center in September 2017. I was able to have players like Justin Wong come out. Also, Dr. African was out there. Players like Jan out of Houston. And that was a really big success. And when I did that, basically, I found out that I had the skills and the drive and the passion to start my own company, like I said, and went ahead in 2018 and started to plan to start the company Combat Championship Series along with two former business partners who are no longer part of the company. And when I did that, went ahead, got involved with that. And our first event was April of 2019 in Addison, Texas, out of a ballroom. And basically really was going well all the way up to the pandemic. Like you said, our last event before the pandemic, we had 66 people. And we were running 6 games at one time right before the pandemic. And really, that's where my first, exposure was, like I said, and just really enjoy doing these events, everything about the FGC, all the people, all the commentators, all the content creators, just a lot of different people that I've been able to get in contact with. And Combat Championship Series is also, evolved to do online events during the pandemic. And right now we are in transition to, because of Guythestampede, open up arcade this fall and just take it to a whole nother level. And hopefully, like, Guy said, activate the DFW FGC in the community and bring it together. And along with people like you, Coop, we want people also from all across the country to be a part of this arcade. And
most definitely.
The whole community together.
Okay. Damn. So, I mean, yeah, that sounds super dope. You know what I mean? I know, like I said, I was talking to you guys before and like, the Cidercade, I was down there at one point. So you kind of, that definitely something when I went there, I was kind of mind blown when I came down to Dallas. I thought that was pretty dope. They had a little bit for everything for everybody, from pinball machines to arcade machines to like, the classic, old school, like, just the fight cage, for the Street Fighter really guys, cool. The Tekken guys. So you guys kind of have something in mind, like, along those lines of doing that, or like, have you guys thought about that, or is it just kind of in the works still, or?
Yeah, I would say overall, it's like we're making like an FGC clubhouse almost.
Okay,
it's probably the best way to put it. So I mean, it's very dojo like, where somebody would come in and kind of their whole aim is to interact with the FGC, what we got going on at that time. So it's a lot of events. And it's really just FGC stuff, and we'll be able to do a lot of really cool stuff with that. But that's pretty much our aim. Like, it's not so much doing a whole bunch of extra arcadey things. Yeah. It's just more FGC clubhousey. So yeah.
More geared to like the hardcores. It sounds like more so the guys that are really, I mean, like kind of a little bit for everybody, but more so for the hardcore guys that are really into the FGC and just the whole community in general. That's what it sounds like. So you guys are like on the, Wonder Twin Powers, you guys got the magic rings. You're just like kind of spam, and this is about to happen. So
Yeah,
with you guys, like talk to me how you two met. How did you guys like just meet up and let's do this? You know what I mean? As early as you guys can recall, just the relationship, just to sit down, the talks and all this. Where did that come from?
sure. Yeah. BG, go ahead and take it off with that one. I'll fill in the rest. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we met over actually Discord and Facebook. Devin actually, our guy, actually put out a post, I believe it was October of 2021, asking about people that would be interested in being a part of LAN All Night as far as running fighting game tournaments. And our other business partner, Mark, shout out to him. He is the one who responded to Guy about this post, and he told me about looking into LAN All Night and what it was. And Mark was one that convinced me really to reach out to Guy about being a part of LAN All Night and seeing what we could do. And we talked over Discord for a few months, and then we met up in, I believe, February of this year.
Okay.
About officially being a part of LAN All Night and everything. And I can't say enough about Guy and what he has brought, to the FGC locally and everything that we've been able to do. And that's how we met. And we were part of LAN All Night, LAN of the Rings in April of this year. And that's pretty much where it all started. And then after that, we basically had talks about working together on a closer level, me bringing in Combat Championship Series, his experience with Azure, and also with LAN All Night being a director there. And that's how we basically have come to this point.
Yeah, we spent some long ass hours.
Yeah.
Late nights, just rapping about all kinds of crazy stuff with the FGC. And whenever you talk to somebody for long enough, you kind of get a sense of like how serious and how much of like how sharp they really can be. And so I would say it's kind of what happened between us is just like we were both just very much like steel sharpened steel, just like, man, is this real life? Is this actually where we're both kind of headed? Like, yo, let's do it. Let's actually combine what we got going forward and kind of utilize all of our resources at hand and really the gap that's in our area to try and fill that and be the real deal going forward. So yeah, that's pretty much how we met, I would say. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so I mean, those are like the best relationships, right? When you just meet people that kind of have that same passion, that same drive, because it's very hard. A lot of times you can get with somebody, and just my experience, you get with somebody and like, you start shooting ideas and things sound good, but then it's like when it's time to like move forward, you kind of have people that do the double dutch, 1 foot in, 1 foot out, and then don't go all the way. So definitely to find somebody that that just has the same passion. That's I mean, that just sounds like you guys are, literally on the like Wonder Twins, just literally like it kind of you guys met and it just hit the ground and you guys started running with it.
Yeah, definition running.
Yeah. So, I mean, that sounds good, man. I'm happy for you guys, man. And definitely, like, I'm looking forward to coming down there in the fall and checking you guys out, man. And, I'm probably just make a weekend out of that. And we've been talking about that for a minute, just coming out there to see what you guys are talking about. So, man, I'm excited. You guys got me hyped just thinking about it. Like,
oh yeah, we got a lot of plans.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, thanks.
Okay. So like, just the whole business aspect of it, just doing the Combat Championship Series and trying to have your business, and have a product that you can essentially put out to, I would say, like a community that's look, there's no given secret about it. I feel like the FGC is kind of like on the bottom of the totem pole when it comes to just the esports genre, right? So like we're kind of like the underground, like the Fight Club, Yeah. So just talk to me about that. Like, what are some challenges that you guys are just, that you faced or like are currently facing just trying to start this business, whether that be, like your target audience, trying to get people in the door, just kind of run me down on that and things you guys have just had issues with or are facing.
Yeah. Some of the issues I've had is that definitely trying to get people in the door, venue fees, also, games, what games to play, what nights are people available. Also, working with the venue sometimes can be an issue because, gamers are seen sometimes as bad people. And so that's some of the stuff that I've really had an issue with. Also, just making sure that people are on time. That's one of the main issues I've had is wanting to run an event in an efficient amount of time and not have it going behind time, because unfortunately fighting game players are notorious for being late. And
Yeah.
I think you guys have had that issue probably.
Yeah.
I just really, just really like to be on time and efficient, and also getting new players in the door, and not, having it where it's just a certain type of player or just the top players in the community. So yeah, that's some of the things I've had issues with.
I think for my side, it's always been engagement, because there's always people asking for stuff, but very few people actually wanting to execute on what they actually feel, or at least they vocalize what they want.
Exactly.
So like, there's a lot of really crazy things that people are like I say community managers, but just like people who know how to build community, if you will. Like, it's obvious they know how to do it. It's crazy listening to them just being like, yeah, if you do this, it should work. And it's like, I feel like a lot of stuff is kind of built around credibility, and I probably just don't have that much credibility, which is why people don't engage that much. But we'll see how that really goes, going forward, once we actually have an arcade in, and we're telling people to, hey, we actually do have these events. We've been getting 50 people, 60 people to come out. So it's just like, at some point people have to like let it click. So engagement's always been a rough spot on my end, because it just always sounds like people want to do stuff, but don't ever want to show up and show out, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. And I like, really, and it's definitely, I would say for like the FGC, it's like people like you guys and like even tournament organizers out here. I know, I think a lot of times players kind of take that for granted. You know what I mean? Just somebody that's just willing to just put, like, because obviously, right? Like, I'm sure there are tournament organizers who would just like to be just playing in tournaments, right? Just playing the video games that they enjoy putting on. I'm sure you guys would attest to that. They're probably fighting games that you guys like and would just like to just go compete full time. But it's like somebody has to be the sacrifice, right? Somebody's got to be the guy that is behind the scenes, like trying to push, the whole scene as a whole, you know what I mean? And get the players that spotlight, get the scene going, build it. And just to kind of have that foundation. And definitely, I feel like that's a challenge. That's a challenge we're facing out here. Like a lot of people have good ideas, or people want a certain game, like, or is this going to be there? And that gets there, and a lot of times I feel like the TOs don't have a problem hosting those games. It's just like, well, I don't want to host a game for nobody that's going to, show up and support the game. I don't want to throw a King of Fighters and there's only going to be 3 of you guys and I'm putting up money for this. And I'm not saying that you don't want to put up the money, but it's like, at the same time, if I'm going to do this, I want the representation. I want the community to help support, like, yo, like, come on, this is the place we can go do this. So exactly. I definitely think that's the bridge where the like where the water falls, for sure, in terms of like the FGC. Everybody has what they want, but when it's time to execute, it's just like, they don't see it's like instant gratification. I like to say people want people want like 20 or 30 people the first event just to show out and play. But if that doesn't happen, then they're not willing to come back. And I don't know where that comes from. I don't know where that mind frame comes from, but I just know it's like this isn't something that you can kind of just throw money at. It's one of those things. This industry, I feel like it's one foot in front of the other, for sure. Like, you have to build the foundation, and it's just baby steps. And once it gets there, it gets there. But a lot of times I feel like when it peaks out, like we said, the pandemic or something just kind of happens, and then it's just like reset. All the blocks come falling down. So
yeah,
something else on that too is like the people want to come through, I think, but it's like a lot of them are just, I mean, for lack of a better word, they're scared. And it's like, if the FGC had something more revolved around it outside of just hard competition, then maybe people would be more interested in coming through. Or like, the other part to that is like the whole payouts thing. Like, people, if they're not going to pay more money, there won't be more to be paid out. But, a lot of people aren't willing to throw any more than like $5 almost at some of this stuff. And then they expect to get, $100+ out of it.
Right.
And
which I think
there's just not a lot of expectations that are really tempered in the right way. And people are kind of attacking what they want out of the FGC in the wrong angle. So yeah, there's a lot of missed stuff there that people just don't really get the context behind.
Yeah, I agree. You have anything to add on that, BG?
Yeah, I definitely agree with Guy about that. It's a lot of followers mentality. Who's going to be there? Also, click mentality in the FGC, unfortunately, and um, I just wish it was more community based and not just about competition. Sometimes I think it should be more about having dojos and just leveling up, everybody getting together and having a good time, friendlies, casuals, having those sessions where it's just not about who's first, second, and third, or just the top 8 of something, because that does deter some people from coming out and getting better. Because if the best players don't come out, some people will not come out at all, in my experience, and all of that. And also, if you don't stream, that's another thing that a lot of players are like, do you stream? And I think a lot of those players want to see the stream to see how many players come out before they even come out themselves to the event. So you just have a lot of those kind of obstacles when you're trying to get an event. And you have to be a people person, in my opinion, to be a TO. You've got to know how to talk to the best players, the mid-level players, the new players, everybody, and make everybody feel welcome.
Yeah.
100%. I 100% agree on that. So, yeah, it's a problem, right? And I definitely think over the years that I've kind of been in it, it just seems like it's a problem that a lot of people just haven't had the fix for. You know what I mean? Because I've seen people, like investors, for example, right, that come into this industry. And I feel like it's just the investor mentality as well. A lot of people that try to come in here and, like pitch money to the FGC, they just feel like they're going to throw money at it. And it's just like, I'm going to see a big return. It just does not work like that. It's not big enough, and especially out here in Oklahoma. I think we're not that big enough to where it's like we can be, like a force, but like we're trying to get there, right? Because why not us? Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas City, Arkansas, we're all Midwest. So that's my goal, just in the future of the FGC, is just to bring it big to the Midwest in general, because there's not really a major in the Midwest. So like, maybe with Combat Championship starting and Warguts having his venue in Tulsa, Oklahoma, we can get to that point. But the community just has to understand it's going to take a effort, just like those guys and like you guys are putting in, to meet you halfway when you're throwing events and just supporting guys that are doing this. And again, I definitely think it gets taken for granted. So just moving from that, right? And we're talking about just like the business aspect of it, challenges you're facing. So in this industry that we're talking about, that's such a small industry, to just the fighting game community, how do you define success in a business like this? Do you think it's just like, the players being happy? Do you think like, how some people, the pots, like the players may think like big pot bonuses, or, like something consistent? What do you guys define in terms of success in this industry?
For me, it comes down to community engagement. The level the community really is engaging with each other and bringing in new players. It's not just about pot bonuses or whatever, because just like the pandemic came, that could all go away, and then you just have the fighting games. So it's all about everybody coming together, the community really evolving, and not just who's the best player. If you're getting new players in, then that's my definition of success, because I've seen a lot of top players come and go, doing this, and if they don't come, then then you're starting all over again. So you always have to be looking for new players and players who are willing to bring in other players. That's my definition of success when it comes to that.
Spitting them bars, straight bars on y'all right now. Give me all that heat. What about you though, Guy? Man, talk to me, man. What do you think, man?
Yeah, I think success is very personal to what you're actually trying to attain. So, I mean, when it comes to like a player, I think a lot of people actually miss that part about success for them, because not everybody can be Justin Wong. And unfortunately, in the FGC, really only the top people are scraping by. Not even doing well, but scraping by.
Exactly.
Some people would love to be able to attend tournaments, but like it's just literally not financially feasible. So like, I think success is very well within people's mindsets, where they got to understand that like, you're not the Dallas Cowboys. Like if success for you is just going out and being able to play the game with other people, then that's success. And that's like beautiful for some people, because really the FGC life may not actually be for them. But they just love the hobby. And I think that that's really what success comes in as, is just like, are you actually feeling fulfilled, if you will, with what it is that you're trying to do within the community? And so for some people, that's also going to be just making sure that an event breaks even, because for some people, they don't actually need the money that comes from events. They just want to be able to break even. Yeah. And that's what success is for them, you know. And for others, they need that event to like pop off. And I think that a lot of people also miss that part of it as well. Is just that like an event that really pops off may not be something as crazy as successful as what you would think. And so, yeah, that's how I would define success, is just whether or not you're actually attaining the goals that you set out for. And like the goals themselves are not incredibly lofty, because no one who is out of high school is expecting to be the next Dak Prescott, you know? Yeah. You got to like have goals that make more sense. Well, I got to make the college team first, you know, it's those kinds of things. So that's like where success is for me, is just that grind, basically. Are you actually setting goals, and are you actually attaining them? Yeah. That's what I think.
For sure. And I think definitely to all that, to just add on a little bit, you know, to talk to you guys, I think that's how I feel about it. I think it takes a certain level of consistency. Consistency is really the key, you know, knowing that you're going to come in and you may lose 30, 40 times a night, but like, you know, at the end of it, yeah, you may be losing, but are you learning at the same time? And I think a lot with the, you know, the younger guys or guys that come into the FGC, that's like a thing. I've seen it out here. You know, they come out and it's just the whole instant gratification. I feel like I put a little bit of practice time in. I feel like I should come out and be decent. You don't get the results you want from your next local or your next tournament. And I feel like they don't place well. And when they don't place well, you know, they just don't come back. And it's not so much that they don't come back, you know, it's just like maybe discouraging, you know, you like, do I want to waste this time? Do I want to put the time in? But I think people have to understand too, you know, communities as well. There's always somebody out willing to teach, you know, even like in our Discord, the FGC Lounge in Oklahoma, like those guys, you ask any of those guys about Tekken, man, there's just guys that play all the time, every night. Even from you guys, you know, shout out to Texas as well. They're FGC. I'm sure there's guys just willing to coach and kind of, you know, put people under their wing and just get better. And I think that's very important. And just talk to me about that, you know, moving on to that. Do you think in terms of just the encouragement in the FGC, is that something you think that a lot of it lacks, you know, just because that's, you know, it can be like, you know, I'm not really on Twitter like that, but I know Twitter can be a very toxic place. You know, I know things can be said and things get thrown around, and it could just discourage people from just even wanting to participate, you know, because just the toxicity. So do you think that's very important in terms of just trying to have that good attitude, have, you know, that encouragement, like, you know, keep going, you know, whether you're a TO, whether you're a commentator, whether you're a player, like, I feel like that's definitely something that's missing, like just the encouragement to just like, it may not come now, but if you keep going, it'll get there.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that. Yeah, the encouragement is a big part of where the FGC needs to grow. You know, like you said, getting better, encouraging people. Yeah, because on Twitter it can get very, you know, toxic, and you know the topic of the day and just a lot of hot takes. And I do think that the FGC does need to have a lot more of a, you know, encouraging environment and having more players come out to level up each other and not just be about, you know, the clips and just, you know, Twitch clips and just hot takes. And there needs to be a lot more of that, of being inclusive, because the communities that are the most inclusive, like shout out to like California, New York, I noticed that they really have a lot better of a community, because you're only as good as your weakest players. And if you, you know, do that and bring those players up, you're going to be a really great community, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd actually go so far as to say that the actual encouragement part is present, but it's more of the discouraging points that people don't have an actual support structure around. And so whenever people like, whenever I was looking at running a LAN center to begin with, one of the big things that they had talked about was you need to figure out how to make sure that your community is a community, because if all you're doing is just running tournaments and only paying out, you know, the top 3 or top 4 or whatever, what's going to end up happening is that right after your first set of rounds, half of your people go 0-2, they immediately leave, and they'll probably never come back. And there went half of your customer base just because you didn't have the right, like, the right understanding and encouragement stuff in place before they even got anywhere. And so I think that the actual encouragement part is in place, because if any one person talks to any one other person, you're always going to find a friendly face, in my opinion. But it's always about making sure that you know, that idea, that ethos or whatever, like actually exists as like an aura in your space. Because like I look towards Friday Night Magic the Gathering, the card game from Wizards of the Coast. Like almost every comic shop under the sun has a Magic community, and 100%, dude, it's the same thing with them. Like they're just basically 100% like hard competition all the time. But there's a certain tweak about it where people are just a little bit more familiar there, that they will actually have more fun doing what they do versus really getting discouraged whenever they go 0-2. But here's the thing, they don't go 0-2 at these events, they'll go 0-5. And with that 5, they feel like they have more attachment to people, because it's not just two, you know, ultra hard pros that they fight other people closer to the level whenever they get that deep in Swiss brackets. And so like that aura of just like, hey, stick around, like I know that, you know, you didn't win, thing that sucks, but hey, this other person also didn't win a lot. And then you guys kind of vibe about, well, what kind of decks did you actually run? And then people are on the other side of just like, hey, you know, did you have this? Did you have this? Did you run that? You could have done that, blah, blah, blah. And there's no real like, I say pompousness, but there's no real like discouragement built into some of the talks. And sometimes with the FGC, there's not enough like real like encouragement aura built into the way people could talk to each other, because once the 0-2 hits, then everybody's out, or half the people basically leave the venue right then and there, and all the top level players that could be helping those people are just kind of ingrained in the rest of the tournament. So it's like there's also that going on, where it's just like even your community can't even do the community things because the 0-2 guys go 0-2 and leave. Because there's no extra stuff to keep them around, so that other good players can actually help them be better. So yeah, I mean, like I said, I think the actual encouragement's there. It's just that the aura of that is kind of missing. So,
yeah, no, I agree. And it's just like this, mentality, you know, for sure. Like, and I know some players like talk about it. They feel like, why should I have to, you know, train somebody else? Or why should I be trying to give advice because nobody trained me coming up, you know? So like, you have to learn how I learn. You got to get it out the mud, you know? And I understand that to a degree, you know, but like we said, it just comes back to the community. If you're looking to build, you can't have that mentality coming into this. You know, you got to be willing to just like one foot in front of the other. Like BG said, you know, your strongest player is only as great as like the weakest player, you know, type thing. Like everybody's got to be on the same page, and you're willing to just encourage, learn, and teach. And that just has to be like the focus of what you're trying to do and accomplish. And maybe some people just want to play for money. I mean, who knows? Everybody has their preference, but I mean, all great points, all great takes. So to just kind of move off of that, you know, like not too much off of it, but just, you know, kind of jump into like a subcategory. We talk about people like coming out to tournaments and things like that, and playing and, you know, competing, and not just getting 0-2'd and leaving, you know. So how do you think people can enjoy fighting games with, like, you know, just like players telling them, you know, like, well, you're playing wrong, you know, your play style is wrong, or you're playing the wrong game, or you're doing this right, you know, just to come out to a venue or like come out to an event and just literally enjoy themselves without feeling that type of pressure? How do you think we can, just as a scene and just the FGC in general, how do you think they can build on that and make that a better experience for newcomers?
Yeah, I think I've learned this from Guy, is having a staff that really loves people in general. You know, not just fighting games, but loves to know people. You have to get to know the person before you even get to know their, you know, fighting game or their favorite fighting or their favorite fighting game style. And I really do think that you have to have the right people in place who know how to talk to people and get them to open up about themselves, or how they found out about fighting games, what's their favorite fighting game. And then you can lead into, you know, talking about, you know, them getting better at a certain style, or, you know, their mechanics or whatever. Because what I've noticed is a lot of players in the FGC, they just go right in and start talking about what they did wrong with this matchup. And you don't even know them like that. And then that causes dissension. And then, like Guy said, the player never comes back. They just go 0-2, and then they feel like they're getting talked at instead of talked to about how they can be better in the future and come to future events to get better. And, that's something that I learned, like I said, from guys from Land All Night. They really do an exceptional job of including everybody and having the right people in place to, enjoy the event. There's also a problem, I think, in MGC of gatekeeping. That's a big problem. You have a lot of players who go to events, and if they don't get a certain, placement, they just rage quit, and they just, I'm not coming here again, or if the monitor isn't a right, frame data, frame
input delay.
I mean, I've had it all, that type of stuff. I mean, and then if you have a top player who says something at an event, what do you think then the new players are going to do? They're just going to
it's just like a trickling. It just trickles downhill, literally. Yeah. And I don't think a lot of these guys understand just how powerful they are. Some of these players just literally, like, they listen to these guys like the gospel. They say one thing, and it just literally can just, I feel like, change the momentum of just whatever they're talking about, whether it's a game, whether it's like a venue, whatever, like they literally have that type of power. And sometimes I think that power gets abused. I definitely think it gets
very
abused.
much so.
Yeah.
Because the problem is that a lot of these events, they're not Evo. They're not combo breaker. These people are putting their blood, sweat, and tears into this to make this work at the best level they can. And I think a lot of the top players sometimes, not saying all of them, but some of them, sometimes they have the mindset of they're just going here and they expect it to be a level of production that a corporate partnership is giving. And that's just not the case.
Yeah.
And you've got to be willing, if you're a top player, to partner with the locals to make it a better experience overall. And like I said, I just want to give a shout out to Guy and Land All Night for doing that and really giving a platform to people overall in gaming to, enjoy and having the right people in place. Because I've seen some events, I'm pretty sure you've seen it, where people are in place that don't have the people skills to welcome in new players, and that's something that really, irks me when I see new players, get shut out of an event they really could have enjoyed.
For sure. And I think you can almost argue that on the TO aspect of it too, right? I think there's a thing where TOs kind of, have this thing where, I feel like I'm the guy here in my state, but so if somebody else tries to throw anything, it's not gonna be as good because I'm not throwing it and they don't know what they're doing. So you're not even willing to just give them a chance to just have other events for players to go to. So it's kind of like we said, we talked about the gatekeep thing. Everybody's just funneling to these one events, and the minute somebody else throws another event, it's like, the criticism just comes out of left field. This wasn't right. They didn't do this on time. They didn't do that. And that's okay. I mean, I'm okay with constructive criticism, but I'm just like, you got to give somebody a chance to come off the ground, man, So I definitely think it takes place not only in, the player side, the organization side, I think. But yeah, just expand on that a little bit, Guy. I know you were wanting to maybe jump in on that, and BG's been giving you your flowers, So talk to these, man. So speak that gospel, man.
I mean, for getting players just more like engaged, if you will, with the whole community part, I think that there's new stuff that we could do to make that happen. But what that requires, unfortunately, is like extra staff. It's probably the best way to put it.
Yeah.
Because no one person can actually do more than one activity for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think what would be cool is having just other activities, I guess is the best way to put it.
Yeah.
For the people that basically go O2, or the people that just aren't as good, for them to shine in another way.
Yeah.
One of the things I thought that would be really cool is, like, for people that know how to make music, just getting them involved with doing some very, like, nothing's too complex, just, very simple music things that can be featured on your stream. Or if you have drawings, like having somebody be featured enough to be able to do drawings for the channel, or drawing for a specific event that they like doing. Because I know in the Smash community for DFW, there's a certain guy that just really likes to, I don't know if they're a guy, but it is a person that really likes drawing, and they really love the stuff. And I know that they're not a high level player, but they do like a power rankings drawing for each person, for the top 10 that are currently power ranked in the state or in area. And that's how they contribute. And so it's like making sure that you, like BG was saying, like, you have the personnel that can actually reach the person, so that their O2 doesn't weigh on their mind. that they think that they're worthless when they have so much more worth than that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of little things that you can do to try and ping somebody's actual specialty to try and bring them on to like have them own something that really matters for the community. I think that's what really is the crux of it. And a lot of upper level, management for people running events, they don't quite grasp that part. You could almost say that poisons the water hole for the FGC as a whole, because if somebody at the top that's kind of popular kind of goofs things out, then it kind of trickles down everything else. Like you were saying before, it kind of just damages everything, and it's hard to bring all that back. So but yeah, just having the right people in place to be able to ping like people at their core, to be able to pull them in and say, hey, like, look, I need you to understand, guys, like, we're not making bank, like, we're not making no real money out of this. We're just trying to have, some honest fun, and we need you guys to actually do that. And so, yeah, that's what I think is like kind of a part of getting like the lower skilled players, is just like pinging them for what they do have skills in, and just highlighting that. I mean, it don't cost you anything. It really doesn't.
Yeah. And that's kind of like
what I could say.
That's what we did out here. Like, that was my initial idea, like a few years ago, like when I partnered with my man Kellen, shout out to him, with the 51st Speakeasy out here in Oklahoma City. Like a lot of times for our events, just an example, like we would always have like where people went and it was just like the tournament aspect of it. You're showing up, you're competing, you're like playing in a bracket. Whereas me, it's like when we started that, my idea, and that was my thought process, was like, I just want to have something where people can come play casually, just like there's no pressure. You just come, you play everybody, you just try to learn as much as you can, you get as many games as you can, and just get comfortable, just get comfortable, ask questions, that bounce off these guys that are the community, leads out here, and have those guys come out and you let them know, really lean on your community leads. Like, hey man, like, I need you guys to, like help me with this, just help me in general. So I think that's why when we did that, there was just a lot of success to it. There was a bar there. People were just drinking. They got to, have a few drinks, just kind of unwind. There wasn't really like that tournament aspect. Like, man, I have to, it's all on the line, like I have to do great, or it's just, it's just casually like, hey man, like, how do I deal with this situation? As you're playing, you literally just stop on the setup. Like, okay, like here it is. Like, here's the frame data. This is the best way to deal with it, and there's just that type of environment we were trying to create. And I feel like it was definitely successful. And but we plan on bringing that back out here. But that was just in my experience, like kind of something that was a thing I felt like out here. It was so competitive. It was just hard for the casuals to come in and get into the competitive scene. Maybe they were interested, but there's just like, you never know. There's maybe that wall that these guys put up, or whoever, like, just, I don't want to come out, because maybe there's someone that doesn't look like me doing this, or somebody not as good as me. But when you find those people and, they link up and they exchange Discords, hey, we're all, that was the thing too. We were all, hey, here's the Discord. You guys want to come into the Discord? We're always in here talking the game. If you want to play anybody, message us, let us know. And that's literally like the Discord we started with 2 people, man. It's like over 200 now. Just off of that, so
organic growth.
Yeah, literally grassroots, just the grassroots growth. And yeah, so I totally understand that, man. I totally get that though. But man, just some great conversation going on in terms of the podcast. I mean, I can just talk about this stuff all day, because this is the stuff I'm interested in. Just like, how do we get it to where it needs to go? It's here, but how do we up the bar? How do we get more players in? How do you do that? And that's a big thing. That's a thing I feel like that's definitely not tapped into the FGC. So I guess, just kind of talking about that, as your business is, the championship series, and just like TOs and organizers, how do you guys continue, because I know that's a struggle, right? How do we get these people through the door? How do we continue? How do you continue to be creative and, like, innovative with things like that? When like you set goals and you kind of accomplish them, so you guys said, we're going to start out, we're going to do this, we're going to have this business, we're going to do this. You've accomplished this, you're getting ready to open up in the fall. So what drives you guys, and what motivates you guys to continue to do what you want to do?
Yeah, basically for me, it's the community, the things that they want to see, the things that they want to do, how they want to improve at fighting games. Also having different style tournaments, not just doing double elimination, having theme nights when new games come out, having special releases. Also having things such as, different types of privileges, memberships. That's something that we're looking into. You also have to really, reward people for their consistency and for their growth. And, not just always just give the top player the privilege. You can't do that. You really have to just be motivated to always look towards new, ideas, and bring in people that are from the outside and listen to what they want. Because if you don't listen to the community, then you won't grow, in my opinion. So you really have to just not just be selfish and think about your own ideas. You have to bring in different people, and also not just people who are good at the games, also photographers, content creators, artists, all types of different people that are good, inside of the fighting game community. Because if you do that, then things just won't get stagnant and stale, in my opinion.
Yeah, I guess to piggyback off of that is like, for me, what kind of keeps me going really like it is the community. Like there's a lot of really cool people in the community, flat out. Like so many people of all different kinds of walks of life out there. And that's what really drives me, and to some extent, being able to see people just grow in life and like be successful themselves, outside of just a fighting game. Because like I said, not everybody can be Dak Prescott, but there's a way that we as a community can like grow and then also be able to harness the power of any one person. So like locally, we got Dr. African, and he got 25th in Street Fighter V at Evo. And so it's like being able to rally behind those people as an actual community, man, that gives me so much, pride, really, because being able to have all of us just to, shouting back, it's like, yeah, do it.
Yeah.
Like, that's great.
Texas, man. Yeah, it's just literally like for real. I mean, it's just like it's your hometown heroes. Literally, like those are the guys you see putting in the work.
Like Texas Stand Up, the hashtag Texas Stand Up is like so cool to me. It really gives me life, and to see that come through the chat, Texas Stand Up like a bazillion times from like usernames I've never even seen before. Yeah, dude, that stuff is like the coolest. I love it.
Okay. Yeah, and for sure. I mean, that's very important. I think it's very, very, very. Just like that's the thing. You just have to keep the fire to innovate and stay creative, because it's just hard. And I feel like the FGC in general is just kind of like, you guys can maybe just give your take on it and everything. I feel like it's definitely. It's like very stagnant right now. There's not too much going on. It's just like, like we're kind of waiting on developers at this point, right? I understand that everybody's waiting for the next Street Fighter 6. Everybody's waiting for the next Tekken 8. Evo just announced we're getting the rollback for certain games, and it's starting to come along, but it's just very, very stagnant. I feel like as just the industry in general. Would you guys agree on that, or what do you think?
Yeah, I definitely agree. As far as it right now, waiting on the new games, I think we're just kind of in a holding pattern until next year when, like you said, Street Fighter 6 comes out, a Tekken 8 announcement, hopefully a new NRS game, and also the Titan Project L when that comes out.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, when those games come out, it's going to be a whole new era, and we're definitely looking forward to that because, I think when Project L comes out, me and Guy talk this all the time, you will see change. And if you don't, if you don't get on that bus, you will get run over because I believe that the Cannon brothers are going to really bring a lot of new ideas and inject a lot of new energy into the FGC when that game comes out.
Yeah, and I think that's what the FGC needs. I mean, like I just look at prime example, like the multiverses Smash thing, with just multiverses stepping in Evo with 100K, that just like the most pot, the biggest pot bonus in Evo history, 100,000. They put that up. They did that. They just came in for their first event and just literally set the standard. Like this is what it should be, and like top 32, top 32
and players got paid the same day
on spot, so I'm just
top
like
32 pairs. That's like pairs,
and pairs, and it's they definitely that's what I'm talking about, the innovation,
Warner Brothers, no net 90.
Yeah, and the 2v2 aspect. I really like me just playing that game, right? For an example,
Yeah,
the 1v1s are okay, but the 2v2s are really where the game shines. Like, I enjoyed watching Evo just 2v2s. It was just like you got to see the chemistry between two players, and it was just different. I just felt like it was definitely different. Now, they had their hiccups, people pressing the start button, things like that were happening during like the tournament and everything like that. But man, it was just cool to see something different. It's not just the same layout. It's almost like music, I feel like, right? You just hear the same music all the time. And it's just like that in the FGC. You're seeing the same thing all the time, but they give you something different, just something like, hey, well, this is where we're going with it. You can come with us or not. So it's just like, man, it was amazing just to see. And like, salute to Warner Brothers, man. Just the ideas I just feel like that they're going to have in the future. You can maybe see like Scorpion Sub-Zero as a duo, maybe in the Warner Brothers game. Things like I just feel like that type of stuff is coming. You know what I mean? And it's cool. It's very cool. But that's definitely what I mean in terms of that. Just innovating the game. And I'm right there with you. I think the Project L is gonna do that. It's definitely gonna do that for the FGC, and it's gonna force a lot of these developers to make the shift. Like, players are gonna make shift. They're gonna start seeing pot bonuses. If you're into pot bonuses, then they're gonna just go play those games because that's where the bigger pots are at. And so
Project L is going to have major pot bonuses. You can guarantee Riot is not an issue for them to put out. If you want to be competitive and make a lot of money, that game will be that. That is for sure. And also free to play.
Yeah. What's kind of crazy too, I just had that brain blast a moment ago. With the idea that like FGC stuff is very stagnant right now, it's kind of crazy to think of it in that way because it's very true. Like, it is stagnant. And I think that it's just because of the cultural shift and where video games are kind of headed.
Yep.
Because, King of Fighters, they were releasing a brand new game every other year, basically since 1994 or something like that. Like 1993, since like the original Art of Fighting or something to that effect. Like, they've been releasing a brand new King of Fighters game almost every single year up until like King of Fighters 11. And, all of a sudden now there's a 3-year gap, and now there's a 2-year gap. And here we are, you know what I mean? And then like Tekken 8, Jesus, or Tekken 7, it's been around for so long now.
Yeah.
And what I was just thinking about the brain blast part was that the first thing I thought about whenever you immediately talked about music, I was just like, man, what kept Street Fighter 4 fresh, I'm sure, for some people, is the mixes between the vanilla, ultra, and then like Arcade Edition, Championship Edition. Like, they had a different main theme song for that, like just literal starting video for each one of those editions. And I'm pretty sure that alone, and even the character select music, that alone probably, shook things up for them a little bit. And what Riot is probably going to do, and it just makes sense because it's what they do. They're definitely going to have seasonal content, and they're going to have fresh new start screens. They're going to have fresh new music for the intros, all that kind of stuff. That's going to happen. So that's what's going to definitely keep stuff fresh. So yeah, I could definitely say that things are stagnant because Tekken 7, they haven't had a new theme song, since the game originally launched. So seeing the same thing every day does get kind of crazy because even, ESPN, whereas their theme stays the same, it changes up a little bit.
Yeah.
Every single year they change it up a little bit. Yeah. So I could definitely see that coming through the pike for sure. And yeah, Project L is just going to shake it up. They have no reason not to because we already know that they're going to make a lot of money and they don't mind spending it. So
yeah, for sure, man. Definitely. Yeah, that's pretty much, I think we just like hit that right on the head, And I will say though, just to kind of to talk about like the Tekken 7, I will give them their flowers. They have had like changes, like when they did season 2, they changed like the whole background, to the main menu. The music stayed the same. I think the music kind of changed up until like season 4, but they would always try to incorporate it like that. But not in the realm that we're talking about for sure. Yeah. I definitely think like with the Project L, the multiverse, all that type of thing, like it. For sure, they're gonna have to just come with it. These new games are just gonna have to come with it, and I'm excited. I'm just excited to see what the future brings. And like you said, I think the video game industry as a whole is just shifting. People are starting to just realize that the free to play maybe not be such a bad thing, and then just just have in-game content available to buy for people if they're interested, and that's how they make their sales and whatnot. So you're definitely seeing that coming. And I don't know if that's going to be for every fighting game in the future or whatever the case may be, but that's the change that you need to maybe see. Like, they're just willing to take that risk. And I think it's cool. I think it's super.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
You know, I think that it's the cultural shift in the way that video games are being designed right now, and like how devs are interacting with the people and people's expectations of certain video games. I mean, like they're going to there's two things that are going to have to happen is either games have to release basically sooner and more nimbly with their updates, or if they are charging for them, they have to be meatier pieces of content because too many people are now connected over social media to be able to collectively say, I hated that this game only had this, and like it only granted me 2 hours of play time and that was it. So like I think that feature-rich fighting games are headed out to us. Like, I don't think that Street Fighter V's launch is anything that we're going to be able to accept in the future. I would even go so far as to say that DNF got to slide under the radar because it was so hype with its beta and that type of stuff, and people just expected more from it because of the IP.
Mm-hmm.
And people got burned by that, and you can see that now with the player data. I mean, they had like 12K at launch for Steam, and they're at like 180 players right now. So I mean, like the lack of single player content is just being felt, and so it's either that games have to come out free and be more nimble with their updates, or if they do charge, they just have to be so much more meaty, or at least so much more weighty with what they got going on. Because even like Uncharted, those are like the regular PS1, like even like not Gears of War, but the other gal with the Kratos, that guy. What Gears?
God of War.
God of War. Yes.
I got you.
So, like even God of War, like there's so much more like punchy stuff set into it, even though it's a single player experience and there's only so many hours built into it. Like they're actually making it a cinematic craziness. Like I couldn't imagine like that kind of game releasing now being as bare bones as DNF is. That's really what I think is on the horizon, and people just won't stand for it. They'll ask for more and demand for more to see like what exactly is going to be available, and then at some point they're just going to say no.
Yeah.
Because there's no such thing as a multiplayer only shooter that releases right now that is paid for. That's just not a thing anymore. Like the last one that was like that was maybe Brink or Enemy Territory Quake Wars or Shadowrun FPS. Like those being paid for experiences for $60. Nope, those don't exist anymore. That's literally impossible to sell now.
Yeah.
So people become wise to that kind of stuff. So I think FGC's headed that way too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. I agree. I agree. I couldn't agree anymore. But yeah, I mean, like, you know, so just moving on from that, you know, just talking about just the stagnance of that. Coming back to you guys, you know, and just like the whole Texas championship CCS experience, you know what I mean? Just talk to me about what do you guys think, you know, in terms of if you had to give advice, right, for somebody that let's just say I'm just somebody that's interested in getting into this industry. I don't know much about the industry, right? But I know people have a passion for fighting games. I know people like to watch and play video games. It's just somebody, you know, maybe like I'm just like I have a business mind, but I'm looking to get into this or looking to start an investment. What advice would you have or would you give to somebody that's wanting to get into this industry and start this? And another question on top of that, just for you guys personally, like what's your biggest accomplishment so far that you guys have had in this field? You know, what's just something that you're just the most proud of that you can just off the top of your head, like, you know, like this was just like a you know, like a pivotal moment for me, or just a moment where it hit like, man, like, you know, you kind of look back and you're just like, damn, like we've came a long way.
Yeah, to tackle the first question, the things that I would, you know, give advice on to somebody who wants to get into the community is first get with your local community, see how many people are in your community, you know, get to know who the players are, go out on a consistent basis, get to know who they are, what games are popular in your area, figure out what you like first. You know, do you like TOing? Do you like commentating? Do you like content creation? You know, because not everybody is supposed to be a TO, and they just need to really get involved in their community first, because if you just go in first and wanting to be a TO, it's not going to work. You need to be a follower, you know, before you're a leader, in my opinion, and be part of the community. And when you do that, you know, find out, like I said, what you want to do, and then from there, you know, try to build an event or get with a group of people, because, you know, it's very hard to do it by yourself. You need to have a group, because, you know, me and Guy know people that are trying to do it by themselves, and it's very hard to do that and to get all the logistics down, because with social media now, all you need is one criticism and then you're starting back at square one. So you definitely want to have a good support group if you're trying to get into, you know, the FGC, and knowing your community first.
Yeah, I would say that's very, very pivotal. Is like anyone trying to get into it. Yeah, you do need to know, what part of it you actually would want to do, because the idea of running an event is so much more involved than what anybody like any layperson would ever give credit for. There's so much more involved in it because it's like sales and um, like community engagement and operations management and people management. I mean, there's so much more to it than just you yourself being in a room and just telling people to play the video game. So definitely getting with your locals and figuring out is definitely going to be huge for that. And knowing exactly what you're good at, what you want to do, what you'll get fulfillment from is huge as well.
Man,
Because you're only going to be as successful as you're going to believe that you can be. And like I said too, making this the small footsteps is going to be good too. Because like there's a guy locally here that he probably could do his own kind of like event or venue type thing, but he's doing the baby steps first. He's making sure to walk before he runs, and like he's playing the tournaments first, seeing the people first, seeing that there is a gap for a specific game. Okay, I'm going to fill it in with this online bracket. Hey, we get enough people, we can actually bring it locally because the majority of the people who are playing in the bracket are local people. Let's take it to our local. Is anyone going to partner with us to actually do that? And so if he's able to grow it from there, then maybe he'll be able to do his own little venue or his own little crazy event with it or something to that effect.
yeah.
And being able to get involved with other organizations. Okay, so now you got your little event, and can you bring that to a regional that's happening, something like that. So I mean, that would be my overall advice: is just don't try to do it all out the gate. Definitely try to get involved with what you can on the bottom level, because you never know where you're going to actually go and what you're going to actually be involved in until you actually get contact with people. So yeah, that would be my thing.
And I would add on that too, man. Just for anybody else listening out there, just be consistent. Just consistency. You'd have to, I mean, it always comes back to that word to me, right? You have to be consistent in anything you do, whether it's making content, whether it's being a TO, whether it's being a player. If the consistency's not there and the work ethic's not there as well, it's just not going to work out for you. You're getting into something and you're expecting something, but it's like, okay, like, are you going to put in that work? Are you going to put in that time? So that would just be something I would add on to, is just be consistent. Try to just be as consistent as you can in whatever you're wanting to do. And yeah, just to come back to you guys, like on the other question, because I still want to hear that from you guys. Your biggest accomplishment, your the big moment where you were just like, you kind of looked at each other and like, damn, we came a long way. This is we didn't think it was going to go this far. We didn't think we were going to get to this point. What was that for you guys, man?
Are you saying personally?
Yeah, personally.
Yeah, definitely have an event where I was a part of with Microsoft and T-Mobile to have a player like Justin Wong come out. That was a real mind-blowing moment for me personally, because I just never thought I'd be in that position, in 2017 to, have somebody who is basically a legend in the FGC and just gaming in general. That's really where my mind went to another level about how big this could get for me personally, and how big the FGC is, and just that this is something I really did love. And just to pull that off, it was just something I'll always remember, and just hoping to, accomplish something bigger than that. But for right now, yeah, that's clearly my most pleasing and surprising and just biggest accomplishment.
Okay. Shout out to Justin Wong too, man. And he probably, if he listens to this right now,
great advice, because one thing I didn't even tell Guy this is one thing he told me is that you've got to be a family if you're going to run tournaments. And I always will remember that. He didn't talk about the best players. He didn't talk about the games. He said, you've got to be a family. And, that gave me a lot of inspiration when we, asked for feedback from him. Somebody that's been in the game longer than anybody to, say that, and how much he enjoyed the event. That's something that really, touched my heart.
Yeah. And then, for him, if he's listening to this, he probably just didn't really realize how much of an impact he had on you by telling you that, like that's just something he probably just told you, like just telling you. And then like, it just impacted you.
Who is it you talk to? This guy knows,
exactly,
the whole world, I mean,
yeah.
Yeah, besides Daigo, I mean, what's the next name?
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, that still blows my mind that I was even in the same room with him, let alone the same event.
Okay. What about you though, guy, man? Talk to me, bro.
Probably the thing that blew my mind the most was after we kind of got Azure off the ground way back in the day. I was able to get a whole rent house situation together where we were able to just run events literally whenever we wanted. And one of these tournaments I decided to run got really popular. I mean, we had like 20 some odd people in this house, which at the time for me, that was my biggest tournament. And there were people there that I didn't know. Like they literally just found the event through SRK forums and just having that kind of reach, so to speak, was like definitely the biggest thing. It was like, man, this could be so much bigger because people are actually hungry for it in this area, and they came to me for it. And yeah, that was one of the craziest things. I mean, on top of that too, like kind of being at the beginning of where Twitch TV came from, where Justin TV was still a thing. Like just being able to leverage that at the time was just nuts. Like being able to have viewership was just something crazy. So yeah, that was kind of my biggest parts.
Yeah, you were like the plug. You felt like the plug at that point. Like I am the plug.
I mean, and on top of that too, I mean, there were other people that were running stuff at the time. So it's like, as cool as they were, these people felt that they could come to me as well, and that was kind of cool.
And that's such a good feeling, man. That's just such a good feeling. Like that's how, like for me in the Discord, that's how that is. Like I just see those guys, like the way they interact in that Discord, and it's just like a community. And I just like I tell my boy David, is shout out to him, and my boy Siriu, all those guys. Like it's just crazy to kind of look back now and see where it's at. And like it just started with us three, and it was just the passion for just playing Tekken. That was it. Nothing more, nothing less. But then it just turned into this entity where people just exchange information, talk about fight stick parts, talk about tournaments, talk about players, talk about whatever, and I think that's just like that was like a real big moment to me, like wow, like it's possible, it's definitely possible, man. When no matter what you inspired to be, and just like if you put your heart to it and your mind to it, you can accomplish that. So for sure, man. That's great, man. And this has been some great content, man. I hope you guys are really just like, got your notepad out, taking notes from these guys, or just really just peeping game and listening, because this is just stuff that, that I feel like isn't really talked about. It's not really talked about a whole lot. And again, like I appreciate you guys coming on the show, but I want to go ahead and try to wrap this up a little bit here and give you guys like the fun part of the show, right? I know I've been like just drilling you guys, giving you these questions and everything, but this is kind of like the fun part, right? I just, we just have fun, like talk about fighting game stuff and just talk about soundtracks and talk about, just anything that, that pertains to video games, man. So I just got to, I call it like maybe like the boss battle, this is like the boss battle, straight moment right here. All right. So, you know what I mean? I always ask people this question, and it always gets everybody every time. So hopefully you guys can pass, pass the test, because every time I hit people with this, they're just like, oh, they get mixed up, bro. It's the mix-up part. So all right, man. Like check it out, man. If you were on an island, right? Well, no, not even. I won't even give you that one first, man. Let's just go just overall, man. You could any genre, any fighting game, any character in general. Then you have to be a fighting game, man. Who is your favorite game character?
Oh, that's easy for me. And Guythestampede definitely knows who it's going to be. It is DJ. That's right.
DJ from Street Fighter, DJ, right?
Yes. Thank you, Coop. Thank you, Coop.
Okay. I just had to clarify for the listeners, the viewers out there, the people.
Yes, sir. You're a real fighting game player. Yes. Okay. First appearing in Super Street Fighter 2, and he is supposed to be back in Street Fighter 6. Who doesn't love a Jamaican man who kickboxes and shakes maracas?
With the maracas, man. He had the jump. He had the jump, man. It's like straight jump, man.
And I don't know, Coop, if you've seen the redesign of him, he looks incredible.
That's what I've been hearing. That's what I've been. Like, I know I got a partner that's really excited for DJ. Like, man, I like all I care about is DJ. That's what he's telling me.
Oh, okay. Well, give me his phone number. We need to talk because DJ being that changed it for me. Back in the day in the arcades, the kickboxer, he needs work on his fireball. His projectiles need help, but I'm really hoping that DJ, in Street Fighter 6 is great because when he came out in Super Street Fighter 2, I just love playing him. I love kickboxing already, and it was just it's just a player that I've always loved. I just love his style. I just and of course, being black, that was another thing. Having a black fighting game character, it was really cool. And his mechanics aren't the best, but hey, I think in Street Fighter 6, the new redesign, we can only hope that his his mechanics and his fireball is going to actually be something suitable. So yeah, DJ.
Okay.
For me, it's Hakumen from Blast Blue. It just, for whatever reason, just this man's swagger of just like, look, you don't understand. I can bend time. Like whenever he takes his sword out of the sheath, all he does is just bend time around the sword and just pulls it sideways out of the sheath. Like, yeah, it's ridiculous. And he's just a man of few words, and those words are, I'm just gonna whoop your ass. So
let's just say less.
Yeah. Like I am the void, I am the night, I am the it's just nuts, man. Yeah, it's great. Yeah. I love him. He's just my kind of character. He was built for me.
Dude, okay, so you guys passed the first question. All right. Usually that first one I give, people are they're kind of just all in their brain, their dictionary of just all their characters, like, that's too hard. But like you guys without hesitation gave me those characters. So I like it for sure. I'll give you that one. All right. But this next one, man, I'm about to hit you guys with. I think I might mix you up on this one, right? So check it out. I'm gonna throw it at you. It's coming out right here. Right. You're on an island. You can only have one OST on this island to listen to. What's that OST? What's it gonna be? Doesn't have to be fighting games. It could be any game genre. This is just for the player. Power to the player. We're on some GameStop right now. What is that?
Listen, I am old. That's like asking me who is your favorite child.
I know, right? I know. It's a tough question. You got look, man. You're on.
Not do me like that.
I got to, man. I got to.
I cannot just pick one. I can.
Okay. I'll tell you. I'll tell you.
Before Facebook, like me and the
I'll
guy.
tell you what. For the sake of the show, okay. I'll give you three. Okay. Maybe I should just give everybody three because one is kind of hard to narrow down. So I'll give you three. Top three tracks, and you're on this island. You're like. What's my man with the ball? Wilson. You're literally all you got is a volleyball. That's all you got. That's all you got is these soundtracks, man. What's it gonna be?
Listen, man. I gotta go outside. I just gotta go with the classic OG Super Mario Brothers 2. I mean, it is forever be in my head. That one right there will forever be stitched in my head. I mean, it just makes like the blowing the cartridges, having to hit the Nintendo side,
straight up,
just straight up. On the bubble screen TVs. I mean the first one, second one, and third one. The first three. I can just start there. I don't know if you guys know about that. I'm old.
I definitely know about that.
Mario 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah,
that's what you're going with.
1, 2, and 3.
I'm just saying. That's your final.
We're not even going to for Nintendo because that's a whole other level. We're just gonna start with this Nintendo. That's where we're going. I don't know. You guys understand that because that was a special time, very special time in my life.
It was.
All right. So oddly enough, on my side,
got it.
I have one that I do actually love above the rest. And for me, that's the Jet Set Radio Future soundtrack.
Ooh, that's heat. That's heat. I gotta give you that. Dreamcast? Come on, man. Come on.
I love it. I love it, dude. I imported that from Japan, to have it. So yeah, dude, that's my favorite one.
Okay, that's a good one too. I mean, that's a damn good one. That is just a good one. And you're right. You guys are right. It's so hard to just narrow because even I would probably get body asking myself that question. I would. But that's why I asked you guys. Because I'm not getting body. I'm the one trying to give out the body bags right now. All right. So I definitely get it, man. There's just so many. There's so many tracks to do that. So. Yeah, okay, but you guys passed that with flying colors. Obviously, I got a little backlash there because there are so many great soundtracks, but I can take that. Okay. All right, man. So just for you two, preference, man, like all time, we can go all the way back to the Atari. We can go back, as long as you want to take it, man. What is your favorite console of all time?
Oh, Dreamcast.
Woo! That's what I'm talking about, man. You remember the orange box that joint came in, man? It was just like nostalgic. Like,
if you didn't tear up with a Dreamcast, you're not a real gamer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was pretty sick.
That is the favorite
far ahead of its time.
If you
Far
didn't
ahead of
play on Dreamcast, I don't know what you were doing with your life.
Straight up.
That was a paradigm shift. That was a paradigm shift, y'all.
They had like the animated memory card. Like, I don't even know if people were like, it was just like that. It was coming hard. They were coming hard in the
I did not premium, as Guythestampede says. That is what it was. That right there, I thought I was on Mars. I didn't know what happened to video games, but I know it had leveled up to a whole new generation, and we were not looking back.
Yeah.
It is Dreamcast. That is only one answer.
I would actually go so far as to say Dreamcast as well.
Thank you.
But
he said, but
my favorite underappreciated console is definitely the PlayStation Vita.
Okay.
Like,
oh man.
But I will say the Dreamcast is definitely my favorite. I mean, it's probably the one that I own the second most games on. So Dreamcast is amazing.
Yeah. And just on a side note, what were you guys' favorite game on Dreamcast, man? What was you guys' favorite game? Soul Calibur. Okay.
As odd as it sounds, mine was Zombies Revenge.
Okay.
I just was playing that with my homie a few weeks ago on Redream Emulator. Yo, that game. Yeah, bullets.
Yeah,
bullets.
Yeah,
dude. That definitely underrated. That was I'll put that in my top 3 for sure. But that was like the era, like, you know, like when 2K first came on the map. NBA 2K1, Allen Iverson on the cover, man. I was a big basketball fan back then, and that was the NFL 2K, Randy Moss and Iverson on the covers, and those 2 sports games. And on top of everything, you know, you had Marvel's Capcom, Sonic Adventures 2. Just I could go on for days on that console. Right, Quake 3 Arena. I could go on. Unreal Tournament. I could go on.
Quake 3 Arena.
Yeah. But I look young, you know what I'm saying? But I'm old in video game terms. You know, I consider myself like kind of OG out here. All right, I've seen it. We've seen the process. You know.
Okay.
But I just, you know, a side note, I just wanted to ask you guys that. All right. You know, just in terms of like the FGC, this next question I'm gonna give you guys, you know, just like, you know, just being in the fighting game community, who is your just favorite FGC player to watch, and who do you like, you know, kind of look up to? I wouldn't say really look up to, but just like, you know, you kind of admire in this community.
I would say for me personally, probably Alex Valle.
Okay.
Because he really he's done it from every level. He's a godlike player. He really does a lot of organizing events, as we all know. He is one of the first people to really bring the FGC into reality. I got to go out to Wednesday night fights in March of 2019, and that blew my mind. Over 300 people at a local. And as we all know, Wednesday night fights is probably the premier local and weekly event. And I just really admire his business savviness, his way he connects with players, you know, all his epic tournament runs at Evo and different tournaments. And I mean, he's the GOAT, in my opinion, when it comes to, you know, American FGC. He's just done it all, and just love his encouragement too. He's so positive, so consistent. After everything he's done, still to be as passionate as about the FGC, that really just inspires me.
Yeah. All right, Guy, what about you, man? Who you got? Who you got taking the throne?
For me, it's an unfortunate, you know, setup, but I do have to take Daigo on it, man. He's just so cold.
That's respectable.
Under pressure, the man is cold. Nothing phases him ever. So whenever something does happen and he does have something going on, you know at that point it's like, yo, Daigo is feeling something there.
Yeah.
So yeah, Daigo's always the one I like the most, just how cold he is all the time.
Yeah. And these dudes are like in their 40s, I think. Like, they're up there, still doing it, still just doing it, right? Yeah. Like, I mean, killing the game, you know what I mean? And that's just amazing. Like, I think about it in like just like Counter-Strike, you know, for example, in esports terms, right? You usually kind of peak out, I feel like, at the 24, 25, 26. In that realm, I feel like that's kind of prime, because it's just such a genre where it's like, you know, the young guys, just the reflexes, all that. So to be doing it at this age still, and like, you know, placing and being consistent and just being role models, like, yeah, I yeah, it's crazy to see in the FGC. You don't see that in any other esport, but the FGC. Literally, you won't hear about somebody being 40 years old playing, in esports in maybe League and maybe Counter-Strike. It's not really heard of like that, but for sure the FGC, it's like any age. You know what I mean? You can be. It's just 1v1. You can be the man at 40 years old in this realm. So that's what I love about it. I definitely love that about it.
These hands are rated E for everyone.
Anybody. Yeah, straight up, man. And finally, just talking about, fighting game moments, you know what I mean? Just anything that's ever happened, man. What are you guys' favorite fighting game moment? Whether it was like a pop off, it was Justin Wong, Daigo, Evo, like whatever the case may be, man. It could be locals, it doesn't even have to be anything known, just like what are you guys' favorite fighting game moment?
For me, it was one thing that I can think of was Capcom Cup 2018 when Mena RD ran through the tournament to win Capcom Cup. I don't know if you guys remember that. That was incredible if you watched it.
Yeah.
Going through guys like Takedo, Phenom, I think he went through Justin Wong to win that. I think he went through Daigo, but nobody had him to win Capcom Cup. And in my opinion, that was one of the most legendary runs on a stage, because since he has won Capcom Cup, he's done so much for the FGC. And I don't know if you guys see what he's done in Dominican Republic. It's a lot of tournaments there now, and he just really is a guy that has really brought a lot of energy in the FGC. And I actually met him at Texas Showdown in 2019, and just a really cool dude. And that was just a run that very rarely happens in the FGC, because to go through the top 16 players in the world in Street Fighter V when it was really at its peak, that was something that was epic in my opinion.
Okay. What about you, Guy?
I had something similar. I don't remember if it was 2015 or something like that. It was Snake Eyes playing Zangief and just running through people on controller of all things. Yeah. Playing a grappler on controller and just running through people. I think he might have won Street Fighter that year, but I just remember that match again. It was him versus Infiltration, and it was just like, dude, what is going on? This man on pad is just killing people. It was nuts, dude. That's whenever I knew for a fact it does not matter your input method whatsoever. It literally only matters about the type of like time you're willing to put into it. So yeah, Snake Eyes versus Infiltration match. Woo, that was amazing.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And that was that's pretty much it for that segment, man. You guys passed that. Look, honestly, you guys are the first guys that I've ever had on the show that have passed that segment for flying colors, man. All right. It was just like, I gave it to you. Boom. Usually we get on here and it's just like, like, oh my God, you put me on the spot like that, bro. I don't know. So, salute to you guys. You guys hold the title right now. All right. You guys are the champions of that right now. All right. So you should definitely feel good about yourself. All right. But, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up, man. You know what I mean? I appreciate you guys, taking some time out of your day. I know we've been going on for about like an hour and 20. This is great conversation. That's why I usually try to just keep it within that hour time frame. But, there was just so much to talk about. You know what I mean? And I feel like I definitely want to have you guys back on the show, again, from after you guys do your, your fall release of your, your store and your organization, with the arcade bar, the dojo. I'm going to be down there myself, so you guys just give me the date whenever you guys are doing that. And I'm going to make it for sure. I'm going to come out there and support you guys. I've definitely been busy on my end. Thanks. But, I for sure, man, I appreciate you guys just coming on the show, and just like giving you guys, just talk to me about the FGC, man. It means a lot to you, boy. So yeah, do you guys have any last remarks you want to say, or anywhere people can follow you? I have it down here below. If anybody's watching the video version of this, they have their socials below. But just tell the people that are listening in through Spotify or any type of streaming platform where they can follow you at. And just last remarks, man.
Yeah, Coop, I just want to appreciate you having us on your podcast and giving us this platform to talk about the FGC and our love for it. And definitely follow us, especially on Twitter at Combat Arcade, also on Instagram, Facebook, and follow me personally at Crunch_TYME, Crunch Time. And just look forward to a lot of things we got going on with Combat Arcade coming this fall. So stay tuned, everybody.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter as well under Guy the Stampede. I do a lot of just random tweeting about stuff, and so there's that. And then you can also catch me on the DFWFG community Facebook group, and we've got our Discord on there as well. So yeah, come on through, have some fun, show up, show out.
For sure. And I'll link you guys. You guys can, after the show, you just give me those links and I'll link you guys up, in the descriptions and everything like that for all our viewers. And, if they want to follow you guys and go to your pages and whatnot, I'll have those available for you, for the viewers and listeners out there, man. But again, I appreciate you guys, bro, so much. Bottom of my heart, coming on the show, supporting me, supporting your own scene, supporting your locals, having a platform, giving it to these guys out here who are trying to travel, trying to compete and just have something consistent. Because like I said, the pandemic just kind of set a lot of that back. So we need guys like you out on the forefront in the Midwest in general, just doing this for people. And, for sure, I look forward to having you guys back on the show after your success and even more success in the future, man. So this has been the Koopa Key podcast, man. I hope you guys have enjoyed yourself on the listen. Last week we did my man Taylor Say. So if you guys haven't, check that episode out, man. He's just a Oklahoma player out here, a local. Just kind of talking about his experience out here in the Oklahoma FGC. The two guests I have here, my man BG and Guy. This is the Dallas, Texas. I wouldn't even say Dallas, Texas FGC, excuse me. So, just giving you guys a taste of, another round, another state, how they do out there. So, again, it's been real. I appreciate the viewers. I appreciate the listeners. And until the next episode, you guys stay blessed out there. All right. Peace.